I won the Powerball jackpot, a Powerball jackpot in 1999, and it was extremely, extremely life changing for sure.
How much did you win?
It was a 28 million jackpot. So it was a 28 million jackpot, and I was 21 years old. So I believe I was one of the youngest winners in history, at least in the United States. And it was extremely life changing. It was kind of like, you're on a roller coaster or something and you're on one track and all of a sudden you go to another track. It's like my life was turned on its head, and it just really, really changed everything. It was so surreal.
I guess naturally the first question that comes up is, do you get used to it at some point? Because, I think people tuning in, they would think the reaction would be, I won $28 million. But through the course of time, I could see how casual it is for you now. Do you get used to this at some point?
Well, at this point, I mean, this was 1999. And so I've now lived more of my life being a lottery winner than not being a lottery winner. So it is sort of like part of who I am now, or part of what happened to me in my story. And it's just, how life can go. You think it's going to go in this straight line, and then it never goes in a straight line. There's always something, and it's like a roller coaster. That's the nature of life. And for some people, when you win the lottery jackpot, it's just that roller coaster can take you on this incredible place. And that's what happened to me.
Well, let's rewind the clock a little bit to 1999. Tell me a little bit about what your life was like then and what led up to this major jackpot win.
Well, at the time when I won the lottery, I was a gas station clerk, and I was working 40 to 60 hours a week at this gas station. I was an assistant manager. I was just trying to put myself through college, and I was just trying to go to school, make as much money as I can, kind of hustle. I had a couple of vending machine ideas on the side, and I really was motivated by trying to make money. Not that I was making a lot of money, but that was my mindset. And I was working, as much as I could, and just, hustling, selling all kinds of things at the gas station, including lottery tickets. And so basically I had this dream that I was going to win, and it convinced me that, hey, you might actually win this dream, because it was so real. And I don't know if you've ever had one of these. Some people have, some people haven't. But after that point in time, I started playing consistently, usually just one ticket at a time. And I was telling people, friends and coworkers and all kinds of people, that I was going to win. And I just felt very lucky. Like everything was sort of going my way this particular day. And I felt like I was going to win, and I played, and then it did. And so when it did, it was like, I felt like I was in a movie or something, because, you say something and then all of a sudden it happens in real life. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. And I went back, at the time I was living at my parents' house in their basement. And that night after I'd won, before I knew that I won, I was sleeping there, and I woke up to my father banging on the bedroom door, and he was just banging. He said, Tim, get up. Somebody sold the winning Powerball ticket at your gas station. No, he said, you sold the winning Powerball ticket at your gas station. Did you buy a ticket? And I just thought to myself, well, I did buy a ticket, and I told all these people I was going to win. I believed that I was going to win. Maybe I actually won. Maybe I just started panicking. I was like, where the heck is the ticket? And I was going through my room and everything, and I was not the most organized 21-year-old at the time, and I was just rummaging through papers, and I finally found it, and it was crumpled up in a little ball in my pants from the night before, and I unraveled it. And this was 1999, so the internet wasn't what it is today. And I ran upstairs and compared it to the numbers in the newspaper, and they all matched, every single number. And my father was there, and we just started hugging and jumping up and down like little kids in a candy store, two grown people, and we were just screaming. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe, it's just so surreal. And then at that point, it was like, what the heck do you do if you come across a ticket like that? And I had no idea. I was 21 years old, a gas station clerk, and just, what do you do? It was very, I didn't know. And my father had the foresight to have the idea to call this attorney and some financial advisors and kind of get a plan together before turning, just to get a plan. What do you do with the ticket? And one of the first things they told us was secure it, put it someplace secure. So we put it in a safety deposit box. And so that was pretty surreal, because I just felt like sort of looking over my shoulder all the time, because like, does this person know that I'm holding this ticket worth this much money? And, kind of paranoia, but also the excitement and the level of adrenaline and the level of euphoria was just out of this world.
Yeah. And, I'm thinking when you won this, you describe it as being surreal. But first, I want to just go back a little bit. This isn't like a figurative dream. Like, you hear people say all the time, well, I've always dreamt to be a, X, Y, or Z in terms of career. Like you literally had a dream about winning this thing.
Yes, I did. I was feeling really down on my luck. I was living in this efficiency apartment at that time, and it's basically one big room, the kitchen, the bathroom, everything was in the same room, and I was sleeping on this air mattress, and I just was feeling depressed and really down on myself about finances and my future and kind of hopeless. And I went to sleep and I opened myself up to what I call the universe, or God, if you want to use that word. And it was in this meditative sleep state. And then I had this dream where I had already won the lottery, where it had already happened within this dream. And it was so real that when I woke up, it took a little bit, like a few seconds, to get my bearings and understand that it hadn't happened. It was that real. And then after that point, I think I went out the same day and bought a ticket. Of course, I didn't win that day, but it was just very real to me. And then from that point on, I actually believed that I had a chance that I would win. I really believed that. So when I did, and whether you think that's coincidence or not, I mean, I find these types of stories pretty interesting, because this type of thing has happened to me quite a bit.
How long after the dream did you actually win?
It was about 3 months.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were kind of talking about just the question of like, what do I do next? You guys get an attorney, you guys hire financial advisors. How long after did you come into, the money? And what was next for you? Did you work another day in that gas station?
Yeah, well, one of the questions, did I work another day? I did go back, because one of the things that we were advised was, or that I was advised was, where I won, you couldn't claim it anonymously. And so since we had to do it publicly, I was the type of person that never, ever missed a day of work. I always showed up, even if I was feeling sick. And so everyone knew that I sold the ticket. There was media at the gas station that wanted to talk to me and interview me for selling the winning ticket. And so it would have been a huge red flag if I didn't show up, and we didn't have a plan yet, what to do, because this is the very next day, I believe. So I went in for one last day and acted as if I hadn't won, and gave interviews to media. And I'm not an actor, so it was kind of fun, but at the same time, the inside of me was sort of trembling, because here I am, telling a reporter whoever wins, and customers, because countless customers wanted to ask about it, whoever wins, I really hope that they remember me. All the while I was sort of smiling on the inside because I knew that they would, because I was the one that had the ticket. But from the time when that actually got processed and everything, I believe it was a few weeks, if I remember correctly, but I don't know the exact time frame.